Recently, I did a video showcasing this Glenfield Marlin Model 60, and I basically talked about how you really shouldn't overlook these when you see them in gun racks in the stores. These are fantastic rifles for 22 long rifle. They have excellent barrels with that micro grooving rifling. They're very accurate and they work pretty well. This particular one, I think I paid $200 for, and then I spent a little bit of extra money putting in a new recoil spring, a new ejector wire, and I replaced the trigger housing on this because the trigger housing was cracked. So all in, I think I have around $250 into this gun, and it's time to take it out to the range and shoot it. On this particular day, the range was extremely busy. There was 8 or 9 other people milling about behind me when I was shooting, so I decided to do just a voiceover on this particular video. And as you'll see, this is a tube-fed magazine, and it holds 18 plus 1 rounds. This is the longer barrel version. I think this is a 22-inch long barrel, and it has the full-length magazine tube, so you can fit a lot of rounds in this particular rifle. Now, the one thing on this one you got to make sure of is that the follower goes into the magazine tube when you close that, because on occasion it will have an issue where the follower doesn't quite go into the magazine tube. It pops out of the loading port, and you just have to push it back down with your finger. Now, my experience with the Marlin 60 rifles, if the ejector wire is tuned correctly and bent correctly, and the recoil spring is in good condition, as long as you have consistent ammo, these guns are phenomenally reliable and they're exceptionally accurate for what they are. The other thing is, I don't know if it's because the bolt has less mass than a 1022 or something, but this appears to be even a less recoiling or a flatter shooting gun than a 1022 in my experience. It could just be the magazine tube. You know, it adds a little bit of weight towards the muzzle. Maybe the barrel's a little bit longer on this than a 1022 carbine, because those two typically come with an 18-inch barrel. But if you watch me when I'm shooting this gun off of the bench, you see that that gun barely moves whatsoever. The length of the barrel, the micro groove rifling, the way this thing is designed with a direct blowback, the way the bolt is designed, everything inside this gun just lends it to extremely reliable, flat shooting, and it's a fantastic gun, which is why I recommend them. And you can see here I had a couple of light loads where it basically wouldn't cycle the action fully and it wouldn't eject the round. Once I get it out of the chamber, I was able to keep shooting without much issue. And this particular one does not have the last shot hold open, so you see me at the end of the magazine pull that bolt back, and I push in on the charging handle, which locks that bolt open. Now I'm going to switch over here to some different ammo, and this is some bulk pack Federal that you get in those little green ammo cans. I think they're 36 grain lead hollow point, but for some reason this stuff was not consistent and not powerful enough to fully function in this gun. However, the Remington Golding bullets that I started out with actually worked better than this Federal stuff. So again, if you have good quality, consistent ammo around 1100 to 1200 or 1300 feet per second, this gun should run very reliably.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to be right by or just bring them up.
Is it way up? It looks like it. It was 1, 2. Looks like you're in between the two of them.
Several of these Federal 36 grain hollow point bulk ammo rounds were not extracting out of the chamber. In this particular instance, I actually jumped off camera, completely dumped the magazine tube out, and had to extract that round with 2 pocket knives to get it out of the chamber. So after this, I basically just decided that I wasn't going to shoot this ammo out of this gun anymore, although I think I did try to finish out the 1 magazine tube I had, and then I went back to the Federal Golden bullet. But again, it just goes to showcase that certain 22 firearms are definitely a little bit picky when it comes to what type of ammo they shoot. And certainly if I had used CCI mini mags or Aguilas or something like that, I know I wouldn't have had any issues with this gun on this particular day. But I did finally get that shell out of the chamber and I was able to resume my shooting. Again, after this magazine tube, I went back to the Remington Golden bullets and I had no more issues, despite the, couple of light loads that I had with those rounds. So again, I guess the main reason for this video is just to showcase how some of these older guns, even though this one I think was made in 1980, if you just take a little bit of time, throw some modern components like a new recoil spring, a new ejector wire and things like that into the gun, keep it lubed up, and keep that buffer with a modern buffer in there so you're not slamming the bolt into the back of the receiver. These are still very viable rifles, and you can get them extremely cheap. I've seen these like $125 to $175 all the time. A lot of times with the pressed stock that has the squirrel and things like that in it, the old Marlin Glenfield ones like I have, or the Model 60 Marlins. And again, I always try to find these full-length barrel ones that have a 22-inch barrel with the 18-shot magazine tube. They're a little bit more appealing to me, and it kind of just keeps the old times alive when you had better firearms before you had so many of these silly rules where they could only have a 14-shot magazine tube. And here's my accuracy at 50 yards. I had a couple rounds that were a little bit high, but in general, not too bad accuracy for those open buckhorn sights. So once again, thanks for watching another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. Thanks for joining me on this journey with my Marlin 60 or my Glenfield Marlin 60. Make sure you get out there and shoot safely. Have a great day. God bless America. And remember, if someone asks you to give up some of your freedoms for the greater good, remind them that freedom is the greater good.